I know what you're here for. You want your greasy hands on those beautiful, beautiful secrets that help those successful SMPs become really, really popular. I'll tell you right now. It's right here in this beautiful little envelope. You see, over the past couple of months, I've done a lot of research into SMPs, all the one from the past, and see how they did well, and what made them do so well, as well as looking at all the failures and why those things failed. But, you see the one problem here? This envelope is currently locked, and it will only unlock if you go down there and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and that bell, then it will unlock. Have you done it yet? Someone hit that bell. Anyway, let's get started. So enough with the ridiculous head editing, let's actually get into the actual video, eh? So as I said earlier, I've been doing a lot of research looking into SMP servers and just discovering what works well, what doesn't work, what things have made them successful, and etc, etc. But at this point, I'm just rehashing what I said in that intro. So let's actually get started. What are some good things that allow SMP servers to be successful? Now, of course, before I actually say anything more, it's not a foolproof type of thing. This is just using what I've seen from the successful SMPs and just maybe try and implement them into your own and see what happens. Can't guarantee any form of success from this, especially right now while the SMP landscape is so goddamn crowded. So let's go through the first thing that everyone should do when you start up a new SMP server. Communication. Of course, one of the biggest things that helps an SMP server run as well as it possibly can be and make it as possible to last a fair amount of time is of course communication. Unfortunately, we've seen so many different SMP servers fall apart just due to lack of communication between the leaders, the stories, and all the things to do with the server itself. A really good example of a server that's currently fumbling due to miscommunication, mismanagement, and things along those lines is the Epic Smp Server. To those of you who've watched this channel and came from the Epic Smp stuff, I hate to point it out like that. If you watched the last video, you'll understand. But essentially, one of the biggest flaws that are happening with the Epic Smp server is just a lack of communication with how the entire thing was originally structured. For example, the lore of the server was only communicated to 5 different people, and it was up to those people to just guide everyone else through it. And unfortunately, 2 of those people don't even play in the server anymore. They haven't been on since like the very first week, and so a majority of the lore just got thrown to the side while the server started to die in popularity. As well as the owners of the server not being as communicative as they possibly could with the server members. There is some things going around saying that Matt's just been busy, he's been stuck up in an Airbnb while his friend goes through COVID, quarantine, things along those lines, but he hasn't been quite open with communication lines with everyone else in the actual server itself, and of course, the server members just think he's just disappeared and he doesn't care anymore. And then the last part to this point is of course making sure that all the people you want to invite, you actually formally invite, ask them if they want to join, and then actually before you announce them being a part of it, you actually know that they want to be a part of it and will actually play. If too many things fail with communication between you and your server members, unfortunately just one of the biggest things that happens is that it entirely falls apart. And as it continues to fall apart, it looks completely misorganized and unorganized to the viewers who are watching it, and of course they will stop watching it because it's no longer seemingly as organized as what it once was, and it seems to be all over the place. Anyway, let's move on to the next part. The next core thing that you should have in your server when it comes down to it is what is the reason you want people to watch your server? Is it because it's going to have some amazing lore? Is it because it's going to be the best vanilla experience out there? You're going to have these people making amazing builds. You gathered a team of the best builders, the best redstones, and the best everything to make a beautiful looking server. Or do you have a collection of unique people who have never played Minecraft before or much to come in to play with this new mod that has not been touched by them and use it in a new way to make some epic fun for the people in the server and the viewers watching at home? Either way, before you even think about starting an SMP server, you've got to understand what you want people to come to your server for. Because it's as simple as this: if it's unorganized and there's no core to the server, no core reason why people should watch your server's just gonna fail like the Dark SMP did. Dark SMP had no core reason for the server exist aside from it holding a bunch of people who say edgy jokes and things along those lines. The Dark SMP really didn't have a core aside from that. And unfortunately, that just wasn't interesting enough to pull people in, and it just fumbled in the end. Having a core drawer in and a reason why your server exists in the first place is one of the key ways to help your server have some longevity. SMP Live was a server that lasted almost a year, and it only ended because that's where it met its natural ending point. And the core thing that drew people into that server was the simple fact that it was always live. Whenever anyone was playing in the SMP, they're going to be live. And they have set hit prizes that causes them to go over and interact with other people in the the server, either killing people or pranking people in the server based upon who they get targeted. They also organize some key events to help bring the server further together to make the bond better and make it more enjoyable to watch to the viewers. Essentially what I'm trying to say here is SMP Live is one of those key servers that hit every nail on the head when it comes to a successful SMP server. And of course, once it's reached its natural conclusion, it ended because that's what it has to do. If you continue to try and drag something like that on, it becomes less and less entertaining and more people stop watching it, and ultimately becomes not worth your time, and it gives a bad ending to the server's lifespan. Now of course, you don't want to be over ambitious with your core identity of your server either. A very big example of a server that was over ambitious of what it was trying to be was Earth SMP, which followed up SMP Live. Essentially, the entire SMP was based around a real life map of the Earth, in which everyone was in their own form of clan / group of people, and they continued to go in war with each other, claiming land after land after land. Essentially, it was just that much of an over-ambitious thing that everyone in the server got burnt out, and it just ended quietly, like it was never there in the first place. DreamSMP is another really good example of a SMP that understands its core and what it wants to do and what audience it's trying to drag in by having some very scripted, very enjoyable lore to watch and listen to once you get to know what's happening. Essentially, the main draw that keeps people coming back to the server over and over and over again is the lore of the server, and that perfectly moves us on to part 3. Give your server a story. Now of course, SMP Live didn't have much of a story on its own, but when put all together, it becomes this much enjoyable experience that goes on for the entire thing. And then of course, as I referenced before, the DreamSMP is a server based entirely around the lore and entirely around this story that is entirely scripted, as well as having the ability just to have some fun without worrying about the lore too much, as long as you don't break a few different things and you make it clear that this isn't a role-playing stream. Essentially speaking, everyone on the DreamSMP have got their shit figured out on how to make a decent story, how to make the SMP fun for everyone to watch, as well as giving people good reasons to actually watch their streams in the first place. So am I telling you to have a complicated lore for your server in order for it to work? No, not at all. I'm saying you've got to have some form of storyline towards your server. It can be loosely done as much as you want, but it becomes one of the biggest reasons why not only people will come to watch it in the first place, but will continue to rewatch old content, catch back up, and once people are hooked into the potential story that's going along with the server, more and more people will make sure to keep on coming back over and over and over again. Now of course, a lot of viewers don't like having lores and stories inside of their SMP servers, but unfortunately that's just become a way of life. You have to have some form of story or something interesting to draw in a decent audience that will have a good reason to keep on coming back. Essentially, those are the 3 important things you want to make sure to implement into your SMP server in order for it to have a chance to do well. There are of course many other small bits and pieces that I didn't bother to talk about in this video because I want to keep it short and snappy and straight to the point so you guys can get all the information into you as possible. But before we end, I want to go over a few things that can easily kill your server. First off, being unorganized. I've already made it clear that organization is key to keeping a server running functionally. The moment everything starts to get unorganized, it will slowly expose itself to the viewers, and then the viewers won't care to watch it anymore because it's an unorganized mess. There's a reason why Hermitcraft has lasted for so damn long, because they're organized. They know what they need to do, they know what they want to do, they know what they want out of their server. And despite the fact that they're in their 7th running series, it's at the most popular point that it's ever been at. A key point of organization is to organize everything that you want to start your server off with before you start the server. Make sure everyone in your server is on the same page on how you want the server to go, or what's going to be the key point and what's going to be happening in the server. Let's say if you have some lore, you want to make sure everyone in the server understands that lore, knows what to do with it if they want to get involved in it. Of course, don't force everyone in your server to do this thing or do that thing. As long as they understand the identity of the server and they're willing to cooperate with those bits and pieces while making it their own unique spin in the actual server itself, then it can also end up becoming just as more popular with more people doing some different. So those are my tips to you on how to run a decent SMP server. Now I understand that I haven't run an actual public SMP server that's popular, because frankly that's a lot of work, but with my research that I've looked into all these different SMP servers over the past couple of months that are from years of Minecraft, you can understand the basics on what makes a server successful. So, as I said earlier, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to smash that like button, share it around to all your friends who you want to have a successful SMP server with. Until next time guys, goodbye.